Not like it was in the 60s where it was an anomaly. They didn't want to say Muhammad Ali. They would say Muhammad Ali. They didn't want to say his name correctly. It was strange.
That's right.
They didn't want to say Abdul Karim Jabbar. But those were anomalies. Those were some of the first ones whose name became popular. Elijah Muhammad, his name became popular. Some of those names, those were just a few. But now almost every time you turn on the news, the newscaster's name might be Hafik. You know, the newscaster's name might be Qadir. The news reporter might be Huda Qutb. I saw her on the news yesterday morning. You know, Arab-looking woman, her name is Huda Qutb. Qutb like in the Kitab. So our influence is growing and our presence is growing. But we don't want to be erased from the equation. We struggled to make this happen. Muhammad Ali gave up his career to take a principled stance and to resist going into the Vietnam War because of his belief. I don't have no people going over there and fighting those people. Now, this is not to say anything bad about anybody in the military today. You know, you got to deal with that. That's between you and your Lord. I didn't encourage my sons or daughters to join this military-industrial complex and go and oppress people all around the world. For me, I couldn't do it with good conscience. But other people, they get in the military and they make progress and they have something to contribute and they have to deal with their reality. So we're fortunate that we've survived many of these struggles. There's something good to say about the indigenous Muslim community who has pioneered. We pioneered. Right now, there are organizations like CARE, Council on Arab-Islamic Relations. They're all over the country now. And what are they involved? They're a civil rights organization protecting the interests and the rights of Muslims to exercise their citizenship rights. We did that. Don't you know Claire Muhammad in 1940, 42, when they tried to insist that they enroll the Muslim children in the public schools, don't you know she was taking a stand
That's right.
to promote private education?
Yes.
And she said, before I put my children in this school, I'll be as dead as this door facing on this door. And her son was maybe 8 years old then, standing behind her while she was saying this. So this was maybe 1941. He was about 8 years old, talking about Imam W.D. Muhammad. He was standing there. And Imam said he observed the person who was the truant officer. Because they would put parents in jail for not sending their children to school at that time. Said his mother's courage before that ruddy-faced individual at the door, he said when she spoke with so much determination, he turned red and backed away and just left. And they never came back. And from that, we have developed a system. What used to be the University of Islam, then it became Claire Muhammad Schools and W.D. Muhammad High Schools. And some people don't know this, that we also, under Imam W.D. Muhammad's leadership, an outgrowth of that, we established the American Muslim Teachers College in Sedalia, North Carolina. We had a college, and the college was accredited. It was accredited. What got us accredited? The person who was in charge of the college at that time, Imam Matthew Bilal Hamidullah from the Carolinas. I believe he was from North Carolina. He was the one who knew about the property that was available. Sedalia, what used to be the Palmer House Institute. It was a girls' school for training young women. Very important. Important history. It's part of our history. He got the college accredited in 1981, 82. We had an accredited college. Muslim American, African American community owned that college. How did he get it accredited? In 1981, he already had a double doctorate degree. A double doctorate.
Yeah.
Oh, man. like something cheap. You know, some of us happy to get out of high school. Right? You know, we all didn't have the same opportunities for education. Imagine if El-Hajj Malik Shabazz had had the opportunity to go to become educated. Imagine him going to Harvard. Imagine him getting a law degree. He already knew how to argue the case. He could argue, couldn't he? Imagine had he went to Harvard. Had he went to Harvard, he might have looked a little bit like Barack Hussein Obama. And don't think it was a coincidence that some of his mannerisms, I'm talking about Obama, looked like Malcolm. Don't think that he didn't study Malcolm. Don't think he wasn't influenced by that growth and that development. He's an intelligent person, and he's shrewd. So it's important for us to value and know our history, you know. And our history is a struggle, and it's a good struggle. You know, it's not easy, you know. Some of the things that we know about our struggle, this area has a particular history that's peculiar to this area. Oakland, California, San Francisco Bay Area, where I live, it has a peculiar history that's associated with that area. From that, we got Angela Davis, we got Huey P. Newton, Dr. Huey P. Newton. A lot of people don't remember he was a doctor too. He went back to school, got his doctorate degree. Eldridge Cleveland was right there. You know, a lot of good things came out of that environment. And Malcolm used to come to that area, speak at UC Berkeley. Muhammad Ali used to come to the temple on Fillmore and Gary, you know, and we were connected. We believed in supporting each other. We believed in encouraging people to come out and hear the message. And it's an influence that's still alive today. Many of us are here today because of the efforts of those who came before us. And we value our community. And we believe that we still have something to contribute. At the immigrant Muslim community, 1975, when Imam Deputy Muhammad became the leader, most of the immigrant community's movements were private. They were not public, they were private. Their interests, one of the largest organizations of immigrant Muslims is ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. Islamic Society of North America started 15 miles from where I was born. 15, maybe 20 miles from where I was born. It started at the University of Illinois, Champaign, in maybe 1962, 63. Dr. Ahmed Saka was one of the founding members. Dr. Metawali Amar was one of the founding members. Dr. Taha Alawani was one of the founding members. They were students. They were students. But they didn't have a vision for building community life then. They wanted a Muslim Students Association so they could support their values. They never knocked on doors 20 miles away and carried the message of Islam into the neighborhood I grew up in. They didn't invite none of my aunts, uncles, cousins, relatives, family members, friends. They didn't invite any of them to Islam. But the people who did invite us to Islam were people who looked just like us. That's right. The Isaiah Kareems, the Otis Alis, the Andrew Mustafa Hassan, you know, all of these men and women, the Sadiqa Mansours, the Claretta Hassans, the Elretha Rashids. These women went up and down the state of California putting together meetings and cooking food and inviting us to Islam, and after we'd hear the message, they'd have some bean soup and some malto meal muffins, some cauliflower potato salad, some carrot cake and some carrot pie. And the brothers used to always tell me now, You don't know who's married, so don't be saying nothing to none of these sisters. I was a youngster, 14, 15 years old, and they would have to threaten me, get in trouble. And these were men that I grew up with. They were 3 or 4 years older than me, and I respected them. I couldn't whoop them. They were just having a little fun. But that's a part of our growth. So, fast forward to ISNA starting in 1962. They claim they started there, but it was really MSA.
That's right.
And the MSAs evolved and became the Islamic Society of North America only after Imam W.D. Muhammad's leadership. ISNA didn't exist before Imam W.D. Muhammad became the leader. And he took Islam to the public. And he started having Jummah prayers in parks and in public places and in big facilities like McCormick Place. And he started inviting politicians to come to the masjid, the mayors, the governors, the public officials. He started doing interfaith dialogue, 1975, and took a lot of criticism. That's right. Took a lot of criticism from the nationalist Muslims, the Muslims that had a nationalist orientation or militant orientation, and also from the immigrants. Took a lot of criticism from people. Said we shouldn't have the flag on our paper. That American, we're not Americans. Then he took criticism when he put Malcolm Shabazz name on the mosque in New York. He got criticism for that. Got a lot of criticism for telling us to register to vote. He said if you don't register to vote and exercise your citizenship rights as a citizen of these United States, you're betraying your ancestors who gave their life so that we can have a better reality and a better circumstance for the future. So Imam W.D. Muhammad did that. Now, we got up to 1975. From 1975, I'm going to fast forward and then we're going to slow down. And I'm going to sit down and we can have some questions and we'll have some discussion with each other. 1975, resources began to come into the United States to help, allegedly or reportedly, the new community of Muslims in America that were African Americans. And people began to go abroad and fundraise, saying they were going to help our community. They were going to build mosques in cities all over America. And some of them made promises to us. And from 1975 to 2001, $1 billion came to the United States to help Muslim communities. They investigated where the money went after 9/11 and the towers came down. Some organizations had to shut down. There was one organization in this area that had received excessive amounts of money. In Santa Clara, they closed the mosque in Santa Clara for 9 months after 9/11. They didn't have Jummah prayer or nothing. And they investigated all of those people that received money. Guess who they didn't have to investigate? They didn't have to investigate one organization that was headed by African American Indigenous Muslim leader. They didn't have to investigate any of us because we didn't get any of that money. Matter of fact, when the ISNA built their first mosque, they built their first mosque in Plainfield, Indiana. I believe it was in the early 80s when they built that mosque in Plainfield, Indiana. They didn't build it in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's where the people are. Who's in Plainfield? Cornfields. Ain't nothing in Plainfield but corn. And they used to go to the mosque, and those people we used to call Hoogies. Y'all know what a Hoogie is. That's Hoosier country. Basketball. They're big on basketball. Where Larry Bird's from that area. Hoogie country. It's actually Hoosier, but we used to call them Hoogies. Anyway, they'd go to Jummah and people would throw tomatoes and eggs at them. driving down the street, there those people with them hats, funny hats on, they throwing tomatoes and eggs. But they could have came to the hood and built a masjid and would have got a good reception.
That's right.
Because we had earned people's respect based on how we conducted ourselves and based on how we respected the communities that we came out of and were a part of. We want to improve our communities and neighborhoods. So anyway, that was important for us to know that. And they actually conspired to make sure we didn't get money, right along with the government, who did many things to take our material progress away from us to put us at a disadvantage. And we're still meeting in places that we rent and things like that because we haven't had the wherewithal financially to do a better representation of our life economically. But it's not too late. We're still working on it. We still have a community that we can appeal to. That's a base if we understand it. African Americans, we spend, they say, over $1 trillion a year now. $1 trillion is 999 million. No, a billion is 999 million. $1 trillion is 999 billion plus one more billion. That means that's our spending power. So, what can we offer to our community to attract some of that wealth? Al-Amin got some products over there. Shea butter. What is shea butter? It's a skin condition. Don't you need to put something on your skin? Don't you need to keep your skin supple and nice, and you don't want it all dried up and cracked up. So you gotta get something out of nature and treat it. We also, Brother Amir, got some products over there coming out of nature that we consume. Honey is a whole lot better than processed sugar. That's a healthy product. The Quran mentions honey as a healing. It's a healing. And it's just wonderful. And everybody needs some honey in their life. That kind of honey and other kind of honey. How you doing, honey? I talked to my honey at 1:30 this morning. And she said, I got to go to sleep. It's important, though. But those are things that we can put into the marketplace. We need to brand ourselves. That's right. And if we can get behind branding products and serving those products to the community, we can create a great deal of wealth for ourselves. And then we can begin to build the kind of institutions that we need in our community that are going to perpetuate our life into the future. Because we don't need a lot of money to say that we died rich. That is the purpose of money. No. There are things that are important in our life that require money. Family, having a wife, having a husband, that requires money to manage your affairs. And then when you have children, that requires money. Clothes, food, shelter, transportation, education, all of those things require money. One of the most popular brands that we had early on in our community was a product called, it was a pancake mix. Aunt Jemima. Everybody remember Aunt Jemima, right? Yes, right. That's a part of our history. I'm not ashamed of Aunt Jemima pancakes because Aunt Jemima pancake had an African woman on the box and she was connected somehow with her culture because she had her head covered. Right? You know who Aunt Jemima was? You know who Jemima was? Jemima, I'm talking biblically now, scripture. You can go and research this if you'd like to. You should. Jemima was one of Job's daughters. Job, in the Bible, had 10 children very wealthy, owned a whole lot of land, animals, farms, all of that. Very powerful man. Satan said, Job is only devoted to you because you've given him all of this. Take it away from him and see how he acts. This is Shaitan telling God to test Job. And in Job's being tested, they say the roof of the house fell in and killed his whole family. Killed all his children. Then he lost all his property, lost all of his wealth. Then he killed all his family except his wife. He got some kind of disease, and sores broke out all over his body. He didn't have no shea butter. You gotta have a sense of humor. During this time, his wife said, "Why don't you just curse the day that you were born and die?" And he refused. He continued to be dutiful toward Allah. And Allah healed him from those conditions. Matter of fact, in the Quran it says, God told him to take your heel and strike the ground with your heel. And I think it says he struck the ground 3 times, and water came up. He said, now clean yourself up and refresh yourself. Well, the message that we had from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a cleanup message. And the spirit that he put in us was a refreshing spirit. And we would see each other and we'd say, Assalamu alaikum, my brother. How's the black man? That's right. Assalamu alaikum, black man. We felt good. Assalamu alaikum, black man. We felt good. Assalamu alaikum, my sister. We would humble ourselves to our sister and show love and respect. That message did that for us. And it cleaned us up. I remember after practicing Islam for 5 years, I looked like a totally different person than that little thug I had became. I looked like a totally different person. And then after 9 years, I came out of the situation that I was in, and I was in a courthouse one day, getting ready to get custody of